Hello and welcome to Slovakia. It's World Cup #1 for the ICF Slalom, Canoe Slalom more like it. Here we are to see the best of the action from over 350 athletes competing from over 50 nations. We're going to be looking forward to watching the 4 different disciplines, starting off with the canoe sitting down C1 men's final. And here we have the best of the action. As you can see, the final was packed with big names, and they don't come any bigger than Alexander SLAFKOVSKY. If you say Alexander SLAFKOVSKY in the venue, everyone sits up because, in fact, the organizer, his father, is also called Alexander SLAFKOVSKY. He used to be the mayor of Liptovsky, Mikulas, where this competition is taking place. So if you look at the rules, you'll soon figure out that they're going downstream on the green and white poles, following the flow of the water, coming under the bridge. This is a really classical move he had to do, and upstream on the red and white poles. The time is clicking. Clearly Alexander was well ahead of the opposition here. But there again he should be. He's been paddling this course for the last 20 years. Ranked #1 in the world at the moment, which shows last year he had a sensational season, putting all his force, all his long levers into power, and completes the course in under 100 seconds. Ryan Wesley. Now, he's just come off the back of the race of his life. What am I referring to? Well, a couple of weeks before this in Prague, he became the 2018 European champion. Now, that's not what you want, but a lot of athletes took out gate #2. As you can see from these great overhead pictures, the water is flowing many directions at the same time. So these athletes are actually kneeling on a piece of foam, very tightly strapped into their boats. No rudder on the bottom. But the fact that their centre of gravity is in the centre of their boat, it means they have a lot of manoeuvrability. And he comes up really close. Oh, just goes into second place. But he's delighted with that run. If you can get close to SLAFKOVSKY, you're doing something correctly. Sideris TASIADIS for Germany. One of the coolest paddlers on the planet. Also, if you look at it, he's got one of the shortest blades, paddles. But he really knows how to turn this boat and put it exactly where he wants to. Look what he's doing. The idea is he's keeping the paddle in the water to steer the boat. Using the water. No one's going to be as strong as the current. So what do we have here? Well, 260 meters of water. Gradient, about 5-meter drop. And because it's rained in the last 24 hours, there's around about 12.5 cubic meters of water going down here every single second. But it is an artificial course, where it's going to be really, really close, and by just over half a second, Sideris TASIADIS did the same last year, and now he's taken the victory in the C1 class. Confirmation of the results. Sideris TASIADIS takes the gold for Germany, Alexander SLAFKOVSKY takes the silver for Slovakia, and Ryan Wesley the bronze for Great Britain. Well, I went to my boat before the race. I felt great. And I had the feeling on the blade, so I knew that I could win. I was feeling really good on the water, so I said, you have to push it, and winning here is always really a good feeling. So here we have the standings. Clearly it'll become more interesting after several races, but Sideris TASIADIS is leading after the first World Cup of the season. Mikulas came 5th today, but the true legend of the sport has been on this course for 30 years.
My name is Michael Matikan. If you don't know me, I don't care. I think my training didn't change much. I still try to paddle as much as I can to be the best on the water, and it needs more regeneration. more therapy hours, but it's still okay. When I stop paddling, I will see if I will be full-time coach. It depends on many things. I had a request from the Chinese to spend a couple hours on their training. I know this course in Liptovsky Mikulas very well, and I think and they also know. Tell them something new and something important before the World Cup race. Mostly about the technique and about the rocks underwater, which are not able to see. My paddling plans still the same. Try to reach as high as possible and be the fastest on the water as I can. I think it's still the time to be the fastest man in the race, and I'm not old enough.
The action continues. The K1 women final stacked with the world's top on-form athletes. K1 kayak sitting down a two-bladed paddle. Well, Connie, as she's known, Corinna KUHNLE from Austria, has been around forever. One of the few athletes doubling up, as you saw, 2010, 2011 world champion. So the first section we've discovered, up until under the bridge, is where not that much time changes hands if you're going to be one of the winners. Tricky sections, but this sort of quality of athlete manages to negotiate them fairly well. And Connie is probably the strongest female athlete on the circuit. Has had delicacies sometimes, though. When it falls apart, it really falls apart quite nastily. So this is a stagger system. They have to go from one side to the other side very rapidly. Clearly, if you just duck a gate, you're probably going to be a bit more quick than the rest of them. However, it's a huge risk. 2-second penalties earlier on. It comes through in 1:02. So she knows that she left something out there. Now, Ricky Funk, very light, completely different to Corinne, but also incredibly fast. Always keeps the boat moving. Just watch the boat for a while. It never stops for an instant. Faster than quite a lot of the men, in fact. Last year was her second really strong season. Again, she won back-to-back World Cups. German team on the left, walking, running down with her. She's known for amazing determination. Been on the scene now 5 or 6 years. Didn't get the Olympic spot last time, so clearly this is going to be a target now. No, she's under pressure and really uses all that power. Remember, she's been paddling full out for over 100 seconds now. Just moves into second place. Okay, we did a really good run today. Jess Fox. Now, if you don't know about Jess, you probably don't know much about canoe slalom, to be fair. She's been the dominant athlete for the last 6 or 7 years, still very young. Came from the legendary Fox father. Family. Right, here she goes. And when she's on a day, she's really unbeatable. The reigning world champion, by the way, which took place in Po in September 2018. She's at home in all types of water. Also very, very competent in the seaboat, which we'll see later in the weekend. You see her mother, Miriam, who's a trainer, running down beside them. If you see, she does the minimum of strokes, but makes sure with her balance of power. So the core's really, really important in this discipline. She really makes light work of this, and she's going to rewrite the record books. And she knows how to celebrate. So Jess Fox, gold Australia, Corinna KUHNLE, silver for Austria, and Ricky Funk, bronze for Germany.
I think there's one move in the middle section that's quite fiddly and tricky and requires a lot of precision, and I didn't execute it exactly like I wanted to, but it was, I think, a consistent run the whole way down. So even if I wasn't the best there, I think I had a solid run the whole way. And yeah, watching the C1s, watching some of the girls, it was the spot where a lot of them came unstuck. So it's about really keeping it smooth and tidy there.
Well, she wasn't on the podium today, but welcome to the world of Vicky Wolfhard, one of the top paddlers in the world.
I'm Vicky from Austria, and I'm paddling K1 and C1. Well, the start of my season was really good. To become European champion was a big goal, and I'm really enjoying paddling right now, and I hope it continues like this. I need the challenge to do K1 and C1. I love it. I think I would get a bit bored not doing both disciplines, and the main difference is for sure is switching. I'm switching in C1, and the lines are very different to the K1. The upstream gates are like I tack them more in the K1, and I try to keep both running nice in C1. So this is the main difference, I think. Strength is a little bit different in C1 and K1. I think you need to use the water more in C1 and put the strength more into the K1. Yeah, strength is important anyway. It's not much time for other things to do, but I'm still trying to study. I'm doing an online study, so it's pretty good. It's very flexible, and yeah, I'm trying to do different things, but for sure it's getting harder with the paddling.
Day 2, and it is the women's C1 final. And we see Vicky Wolfhard is there in action. Teresa Fizarova, a very strong, determined, fairly timid athlete, to be fair, ranked number 6 in the world, which shows she's really coming up in this sport. Now, the good thing about this is it's been dedicated Olympic. What does that mean? Well, the federations are taking it more seriously because they have funding. So in the last 10 years, this event has really had a lot of depth of field. First World Championships in 2010, and in Tokyo, it's going to be the first medals are going to be given out. So clearly a lot of athletes, mainly the younger ones, are starting to be very competent. Switching is also something that really comes in this game. And what am I talking about? Well, they tend to have a stronger one side or the other. So you just saw in the action, you keep on your onside, so you can always paddle the fastest. Well, she came down for a very solid run and dismissed Kimberly Woods from your picture and take the first place. Mallory FRANKLIN. Now, Mallory was the youngest ever Brit to make the national team quite a few years ago now. Also very competent in the K1. She's really taking this sport forward. And we show how strong she was this year by actually becoming the world champion. Very angular, as you see, and always looks in control, never rushes the situation. There's some really fast angles here, some really fast moving water. So the trick is to use the water to be in the fastest water, but often the fastest water is the most tricky. Oh, really amazing balance. Forcing it over with every single last muscle in her body. There's a smile, but she'll be furious about that. Well, this young lady was the last to go, which means she was the fastest in the semi-final. You may recognize her face, by the way. It's Jess Fox. So it's a day apart, and now what she has to do is change the paddle and show what she can do. 3-time world champion. Born in Marseille when she was 4 years old with her parents. Father took up a coaching job in Australia. Mother moved across there as well, who's also a multiple world champion. And she speaks clearly English and French. Spends the summer over here, the winter at university, and doing all sorts of other good causes. An ambassador for the Youth Olympic Games. Well, here's she coming up the course. This is looking at a sensational run. Knows exactly what she wants to do, knows exactly how to switch. And the frightening thing about Jess is some of the moves she's done in practice, she hasn't even put them into action here. But look at this. Well, she's won by 7.62 seconds. That's extraordinary. So Jess Fox, gold. Teresa Fizarova for Czech Republic, silver. And Mallory FRANKLIN just edging out Kimberly to take the bronze.
I think, you know, to be able to back up after yesterday takes it out of you physically and mentally, emotionally. So, yeah, look, I was really pleased with that final and, yeah, looking forward to resting and recovering and coming back next week.
So the standings, the same as in the race. K1 men final, and some of the real flyers of the world circuit. There were 40 in the semi-final 2 hours before, reduced down to the top 10. Darius Popiela. Now he's very determined, very fast, and quite a mature gentleman. From Krakow, which is only a couple of hours drive from here, so we saw the Polish athletes, in theory, having an advantage. Not the first person to take out gate 2. An amazing start, really, I suppose, because it's immediately added 2 seconds to your problem. But no worries there, in and out of this gate number 10, the up. So it's a double up combination. There's what's called a stagger. You have to really use your positioning skills and taking that on forward, which only the athletes with the strongest technique can really do. There's about a 30-second gap. You go on to then 15, 16, 17. And now coming on to the last part of the course, still pulling hard. And kicks Mathieu Biazizou from France off the first place. And he's absolutely furious with a couple of mistakes. Why did he have 2 points? Joe Clarke. Joe Clarke's a familiar name to paddling enthusiasts. Was a very precocious individual as a junior. Was quite good in 2016 until the Olympics came along. Then he had the run of his life and won the gold medal. So Joe Clarke, Olympic champion. Had a quiet year after that and then really decided to come back. He's looking bigger and stronger than ever before. And it's an incredibly competitive class. Joe's family and friends are running down. So if you look on the left of the bank, with all the spectators, it's great to see the sun out. And on the right bank are the family and friends. Joe is like the others. He's really just trying to squeeze around. We saw some of the top athletes really making a mess of that. How's he going to do? Well, there's the smile of someone who knows he can do better but has done well. Schuby, Sebastian SCHUBERT. In Augsburg on his day, completely unbeatable. Also coaches some of the younger athletes, a real ambassador for the German, a real leader. Hasn't really won much in the last couple of years, although he did have a medal last year. He's known for German in the sense that it's like a very dynamic, powerful style. Taking advantage of all the movements in the water. So the upstates are in the eddies. So it's helping you if you know what to do. You're allowed to punt off the side. There are some hidden rocks underneath, by the way, which we can't see, but they certainly would feel if they didn't know what to do. So they had 2 days training. They then had a heats. They had a semi-final on the same course of this, and now this is the second down this course. And he really, look at that. He puts it into action. Everyone's applauding. They know it's going to win. There he goes. Germany won the C1 and Germany have won the K1. Confirmation of the results. Sebastian SCHUBERT, gold for Germany. Darius Popiela, silver for Poland. And Joe Clarke takes the bronze for Great Britain. I'm super happy to win it. It's a really, really hard race. Many times I was last year second and third and fourth. And now I won again. Really cool. And we see the World Cup standings, so they're the same as the results. It's a staggered point system which will become more interesting as we progress through the season. Extreme Slalom World Cup. It's fast, it's dynamic. They start on the top of a slippery slope. Satilla, Wegman, Donnelly, Minasova. They've all been in action this weekend. Well, you need to go the direction of the arrows round the inflatable hung poles. The first two will go through to the next round. The numbers are depending on where you were placed in the individual time trial that took place earlier. Now that's a bit of a mess, but what we have is Martina Wegman coming through. They've got an Eximo roll. Now they just have to negotiate the last up. As you see on the ups, they have the choice. Now Martina disqualified because she didn't manage to put her head all round in one of the early gates. She probably doesn't know it yet, so the athletes are still going to battle on for the second place. They've all chosen to go around the same pole, which makes it more interesting. Anna Stiller in number one here is trying to battle on, but Sage Donnelly is also coming through. So Sage takes the first victory. Now Sage is a bit of a unknown in the European canoe slalom. However, she is a champion in creek boats, and not really surprising that she's come up. Shame for Martina, but she's a champion from other days. She's disqualified for the World Cup final last year as well.
I would say the start, like getting a good start, is really key to that. And I was on the left side, which people thought was kind of slower, but I figured it was better than getting tangled in the eddy. So I did that and kind of had like a nice line where I cut everyone off, and then off I went.
And now to the men's final. They've come through quarterfinals, they've come through semi-finals, and these are the top dogs: Eigel, Dawson, Marks and Farrow. Mike Dawson took the bronze medal in the World Championships. Pavel Eigel for Russia has been looking really, really solid right throughout. And he's leading the game. These are creek boats. They're a little bit heavier than the slalom boats, a little bit tougher as well. So look here, the battle. Did Mike go through? Not quite sure about that. It's a real battle. They have to get themselves round. There's the Eskimo turn. The Eskimo turn is in a designated area. But no doubt about who's going to take the victory. It's Russians, very popular, Pavel Eigel. Mike Dawson is looking to take the second place. In the green boat, you can see him. And Dmitry Marks eventually given the victory. Although he was disqualified, he came quicker in the qualifications. Well, that's a look at the life of the Canoe Slalom World Cup #1 from Liptovsky. We've certainly enjoyed it. I hope you have. And we look forward to catching you again for more dynamic on-water paddling action.